Hi there, my name is Neil Robinson. I'm the sales manager here at Storth Machinery. Taking some time out today just to pop a quick video together to talk to you about electric pumps. So we build electric pumps here at the factory, and they're available from in a 7.5, 11, 15, 18 and 22 kilowatt in various lengths from 5 foot, 6 foot, 7 foot up to 12 foot. So obviously in feet increments. So here's the main machine, but we're just going to go and have a look at it in the pit first before I come back and explain it further. Okay, before we get deep and meaningful with a three-phase motor and all the rest of the workings, let's just look at the actual top of the pump. So if Keris comes in, we can see the pump everything is galvanized, and we can see there is lots of access points here. These access points are to give visibility down into the pit so we can see how much fluid's in there. So hopefully it's water down there, you can see what fluid's in there. The pump itself requires a minimum access hole of 560 by 650 millimeters, so that's 22 inches by 26 inches, and the frame itself is 1.1 meter by 0.9 meters, so basically 35 inches by 44 inches. So those are really important, and one of the first questions the sales guys will ask. The next question that we really ask is how deep is the pit that you're working in, and as I said, we'll do anything from 5 foot up to 12 foot in foot increments, but we'll look at that a bit more when we look underneath the pump we're at before. So the motor itself, yeah, we're 7.5, 11, 15, 18, 22. All of them are a good quality WEG motor. And they then work down through, and you can see here the drive line. If I just take this guard off, so you can see inside here we've got basically a top proper bearing here, and then a spider coupling. So there's a rubber spider in here which protects the drive line up to the motor. The motor is powered by a control panel which we also supply, and we'll look at that in a second, which gives it a nice soft start. Okay, so that setup is very similar, and this one's a 22 kilowatt and this one's off to Japan. We sell a lot of the 11 and 15s really, and mainly sold as pit pumps from the pit up into a store. The main beauty is here it doesn't have to be operated by a tractor or a man, and there's quite a surge in these because of the lack of labour that's out there at the moment. It can be set up to operate on a timer. So you can set it up to come on and go off at certain times of day. You can set it up on float switches, which again we'll look at in a second. Or you can set it up manually, so you can start and so you can stop it yourself. If I come around this side, you can see here, and I've already undone it, but this is the depth stick which we will fix our float switches to. So there's some holes in here, so we can cable tie our float switches onto there, and the float switches basically, if they're down, the switch is off, and as they come up the switch is activated, so it's just a simple on-off switch. So that allows you to check the float switches and reposition them if you need to. Okay, I'll just pop one of those back in, and that's fine. And if you come around this side, Keris, we've got here a handle which will adjust the agitator. So the pump is available either with an agitator, which dealers will generally have in stock, or without an agitator. So it's entirely up to you when you purchase it. But this is the agitator control. So we can turn that, and again we'll see better in a moment. We look at it in a different position. We can adjust the spout up and down, or we can turn the spout through. It's around about 190 degrees from one side to another. And again, I'll show this in a moment with the one that we've got above the ground, and this just locks either in the top position, or as you can see hopefully in the bottom position where I couldn't see it. Okay, and then the final piece of the jigsaw, Keris, I don't know which side you want to come round to, is here where we have either agitate or pump. So we can choose whether we want it to mix a pit or whether we want it to pump a pit. few options up this top end that we can consider. We can fit onto here a electric agitator, so we use this an awful lot on the separators, where we'll run it in an agitator mode for half an hour, and then we'll pop it into pump mode there, and that's just an electric actuator which fits onto here, and that's controlled by the control box. We have other options here, pallet tine inserts, which you'll see on the pump we'll take you to in a moment, so you can lift it in and out of the pit really easily. And then on the outlet pipe, and all the electric pumps are 4-inch pumps, but on the outlet pipe here, this top fitting as standard is a 4-inch Bauer male, as you can see, but we can put a 5-inch, a 6-inch if you want to, and if you really wanted to, we can make that to a female, but the standard would be coming out on a male. And one of the options we do sell an awful lot of is a pump top pipe kit, which comes out with 120 degrees onto a vacuum pressed pipe that we can then connect to our underground pipe kits. Okay, the only bit that I've really missed here is this little access hole here, and this access hole that unbolts, as you can see, and it gives us an opportunity then for any pipes to come in to suck the pit out, or if we want with a separator, we're sending it back and back into tank on a recirculation system. Okay, I think that covers the top of the tank. Let's go and have a look further underneath what's going on. Okay, so we're back round at this pump. Just before we move below the surface of the tank, of the top of the tank, just a quick one really to look at the bolt-on forklift pocket tines that we spoke about a second ago as an option. The lever here adjusts just take the lock off it, that adjusts the horse's head, so the agitating head to the left and right. And then if you just come round, Keris, you just come round this side here, we can then look at, just lock that out. We can look here, you can see this is where it is changing the changeover flap here from pump and then into mix. So I'll just move that flap, and you can see that. So you can see there the changeover there. So that's from agitate to non-agitate, and as I mentioned before, there is an option to have that set up remotely, and this was the dipstick that we removed before, which we can attach via a cable tie our float switches onto. So liquid in the tank, liquid empty, turn the pump off, and obviously, yeah, we've got the flapper which will move up and down, as I said before. The 7.5 is only a kilowatt is only available with without the agitator. The 11-15, as you can see, have this little rubber cone on them, and the 18-22 are without. Basically the 7.5, 11 and 15 come from the same family, and they are with a 300mm impeller housing, and then the 18 and the 22 come from a slightly bigger. Performance wise, you're looking about 3 cube a minute, which works out at 180 cube per hour, and that's with water. So they're a reasonably high performing pump. The bottom end is supported by, sorry, you could see in there, apologies Keris, you've got a 4-blade impeller which is bolted on, and then behind that impeller, you've got our standard simple rubber bearing there, which is the same rubber bearing assembly that we use on the mixers, so and all the rest of the pump. So it's a really simple setup, nothing complicated on the pump at all. So you have a bearing here, you have a bearing at the top, which we saw before, and until you get to a 9 foot, there is nothing. Other than that, on a 9 foot, you get a central wooden support. The last bit really, and we have alluded to it as we've talked throughout it, is then the control box. So this is the control box, a simple on-off control box, and as I said, we can start it up for manual start stop, we can set it up for automatic with floats, or we can set it up on a timer. Okay, the final thing really is all of the pumps will come with a instruction manual, and that'll give you details of all the electrical requirements, parts, and all the rest of it. Everything is CE marked. So I'd like to think we've got pretty much everything covered. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us. Thank you very much.